So Donald Trump is in the midst of his second campaign shakeup of this general election, and basically what he's done is he has promoted Kellyanne Conway, who was brought in to be a senior strategist on his team earlier this year. She's now the campaign manager. Trump actually hasn't had a formal campaign manager for several months now, which is actually quite striking. He's also brought in Stephen Bannon, who would only be known to people who read Breitbart News, which is a right-wing conservative website that has been very supportive of Donald Trump and very critical of Republican leadership, including House Speaker Paul Ryan and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. So Stephen Bannon is now going to be the CEO of the campaign. Kellyanne Conway will now be the campaign manager. And the big question is what happens to a man named Paul Manafort, who has basically been running this operation, this pretty unprecedented operation for the last couple of months. Manafort is controversial. He is someone who has been having dealings with the Ukrainians, and there are a lot of questions about his interactions with the Russians. But for Trump, what's been most concerning about Manafort is Manafort's push for Trump to reach out to Republican leaders, to moderate, to have a pivot toward the general election and essentially change his strategy. Trump has been pretty resistant to this. This is a big leap for both Kellyanne Conway and Stephen Bannon in terms of running a presidential campaign. Kellyanne Conway has been involved in presidential campaigns before, but in the primary level. She's never run a general election campaign. Stephen Bannon is someone who comes from completely outside of the presidential campaign sphere. He was a Goldman Sachs banker. He worked for Breitbart, but he's never run a campaign. So what you are seeing really is Trump surrounding himself with people who share his philosophy on the campaign, and that to him is more important than people who have actual operational experience in running a presidential campaign. It's actually quite in keeping with Trump's strategy throughout this entire operation. He prefers people who he gets along with, he prefers people who share his vision, and prioritizes that more than actual on-the-ground campaign experience. Look, having a campaign shakeup 80 days out from the election is never a good sign. At this point, you really want to have your campaign professionalized. You want to be implementing things that ideally you've been working on for months. That's what we're seeing in the Hillary Clinton campaign right now. And in the Trump campaign, you can really only read this as a sign of turmoil.